The Energy and Public Utilities meeting to order. I'd like to introduce our Sergeant of Arms with us, always a fine group of folks. Terry McGraw, Nina Lage, Bill Riley, and Thomas Terry. Thank you for doing that. Do we have any pages?
There and here.
Oh, here we go. Our page is with us today. Yeah, here we go. Andrea Daughtery, if you can, stand up. Alexander Douglas, Emma Fontenberry, and Kaylee Lewis. Thank you for being with us, and we hope you have a great experience staffing this very important committee. This is very important. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce Senator Newton. If you want to come and explain your bill, Senate Bill 673, Wastewater Regulatory Relief Act.
You got it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, it's an honor to be with you today. And let me just start out by saying, what if I told you that by supporting this bill, you could unlock hundreds of millions of dollars in value for local government units, and that you could unlock potentially billions of dollars in economic activity on behalf of the state. But best of all, it will not cost a dime. So I hail from Cabarrus County. We're one of the many fast-growing counties in North Carolina. And I'll never forget reading a Charlotte Business Journal article that said that Cabarrus County is closed for business because it's out of wastewater capacity. So when I started to dig, first of all, I understood it's not just Cabarrus County, it's a number of our fast-growing counties. And then guess what? That's where our job creators want to be, and that's where our home builders need to build homes to accommodate the new jobs. But again, it's a number of counties. And as I dug deeper, and I want to tip my cap to DEQ and Secretary Elizabeth Beiser. She came to Cabarrus County, met with our technical experts, met with our local leaders. We then had a series of technical meetings with DEQ to understand and be able to differentiate the must-haves that DEQ has around regulating wastewater and wastewater capacity, and the nice-to-haves that happen to have been there since 1980. And what we agreed to do is unlock this value, and again, working alongside every step of the way with DEQ. They do not, I won't say they support this bill. They only support their agency bills. They have no problem with this bill. They are neutral on this bill. So in other words, they like it. Okay, and thanks again to them for working with us. So here's one of the things we learned. That a vestige of the regulatory regime that's been here for decades is that when you build a subdivision in a county in North Carolina, you have to take away from your brick and mortar capacity. And this is the thing, if it's not clear, you ask me this question. I want to make sure you understand the difference between actual capacity and paper capacity. The actual capacity is what your brick and mortar wastewater system can accommodate. The paper capacity is the bureaucratic conservatisms, and trust me, they're multifold and they're redundant, that have been built in over time on the regulatory regime. So, for example, if I'm going to build a subdivision and it's going to take 5 years to build it, DEQ requires me to take 120 gallons per bedroom per day out of the wastewater capacity, and that's on day one when the subdivision is permitted. 120 gallons per bedroom per day. It's taken away from the actual capacity through paper capacity, eliminating or diminishing the available capacity. So what we have decided to do is, after our work, our stakeholder meetings on this, DEQ has agreed to several things that will unlock the value that I described to you at the outset. First of all, Section 1 of the bill changes the wastewater flow for new dwelling units from allocated capacity for allocated capacity from 120 gallons per bedroom per day to 75 gallons per bedroom per day. Now, if you have proven up a case to DEQ that you're actually less than that, you get the lower number. And 75, even though that's not necessarily what we would want, because some would say that the reality is it's probably, with today's low flow shower heads and whatnot, it's probably closer to 45 gallons per bedroom per day. But we're going to stick with 75 for purposes of this bill, and we'll take it. And we appreciate DEQ working with us on this. This next section of the bill changes what's called the 80-90 rule from paper capacity to actual capacity. So when you've used 80% of your brick and mortar capacity, you have to start planning to expand that. If you're at 80%, that's the trigger. Under DEQ rules, you got to expand it. Used to be that was based on paper capacity. So you'd get there quicker and you'd have to start that process. At 90%, you had to file for permits. Again, if it's on the paper capacity, you as a local government unit are ending up spending money much sooner than you should have to, because actual capacity is actually much greater than that. And so your 80% rule and your 90% rule get pushed out in time under this agreement with DEQ and under this bill. So you're delaying costs. So this bill really helps our fast-growing counties, but it also helps sort of the medium-growth counties, because they would be subject to this eventually, the 80-90 rule, and this will push out in time the need for those capital expenditures. So kind of everybody is winning on this. The last thing that DEQ agreed to do is to allow our fast-growing counties that are meeting their flow and pollutant discharge limits to allocate 110% of existing hydraulic capacity and increase the allocation to 110% to 115% when you're within 24 months of completion of your wastewater capacity. So you've hit the 80-90 rule, you've entered into a contract to build new brick and mortar, you're committed to building the capacity necessary for your growth, and if DEQ sees that you have complied with every sort of law, rule, and regulation you needed to, then guess what? They know there's redundancy, they know there's conservatism built into your actual wastewater capacity. So if you're within 24 months of that brick and mortar being completed, they'll give you 115% of the capacity that you have right now, even without having built that brick and mortar. So the beauty of this bill is it allows the fast-growing counties to keep growing. It's the bridge. We're finding a bridge from where you are today, when you think you're up against the limit, and now you've got a de facto moratorium in your county against new homes and against new job creators. This is giving you an administrative bridge to the time that your brick and mortar is actually built. That's what we were exploring, and that's what we have now gotten along with DEQ. The last section of this bill is system development fees. One of the things we found as we were negotiating this out and doing our stakeholder discussions is that even though this General Assembly wants to promote regionalism with wastewater facilities, the local government units and the builders really didn't have an opportunity to charge on a regional basis under the law as it was written. This will fix that. So as we promote regionalism to save money across the state, this will allow the proper system development fees to be charged, which will speed up development and, again, makes everybody happy. 673 is supported by the League, the Association of County Commissioners, our home builders. It was crafted alongside DEQ, and DEQ has no opposition. In fact, I know of no opposition to this bill, and the bill did pass unanimously, for what that's worth, in the Senate. And I do ask for your support. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Newton. Representative Zinger.
And thank you for this bill. This is long overdue. It's going to be a great blessing for the building industry, for the counties, for the municipalities, and so I'll make it a motion at the appropriate time, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Now's the appropriate time.
I make a motion for a favorable report and.
All right. Is there a second? Second by Representative Hall. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Unanimous? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Representative Harrison?
May I ask a belated question? I apologize. Got stuck down in J1. You got out of there faster than I. But I appreciate your
How
presentation.
about if we just let y'all talk afterwards
Okay.
and everything, since we're closing the meeting and everything, that'd be good. At this time, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.